All right, all right. We'll let the room fill up a minute. And then we're going to get this popping. All right, so we're going to check this out. Let me see, make sure everything is on. Okay, word. Peace, Chief. Zephaniah. ALT watch to Ish. Peace. Peace, Bailey. ALT watch to Ish. All right, we're going to get it. We are here. All right. Can you hear me? Hear me with a one if y'all can hear me clearly. Hopefully y'all can hear me clearly. One. Hit me with a one. One. All right. Thank you. All right. So we're going to get into the night. Ancient DNA reveals American connections. All right. If you notice, you will hear everyone mention history, but yet they won't tell us the heritage, the lineage, because none of these people have taken their DNA tests. So they can't prove definitely, without a shadow of a doubt, that they have indigenous heritage or an ancient bloodline in the Americas. And that's what we keep seeing over and over again with all these silly ass battles that they're doing online, especially on Facebook. All right. Going to these different groups and battling each other concerning historical information. Forget, you don't need just historical. Take that history and mix it with your DNA, and you get a much clearer understanding of who you actually are. You would notice that no one is doing that. And I don't understand why, because I know I've been doing it now for the last 7 years. And no one's going to pick up the baton and pass it along. I mean, what's the problem here? What's the problem? I know niggers are scared of DNA tests. Not only they scared of revolution, they scared of DNA tests. That's what we do know. Okay? That's what we do know. That Negroes are scared of DNA tests. All right? And as if they didn't have your placenta from birth. As if you didn't get them hallmark vaccines right after birth and they took your blood. So if they wanted you, they already had you from the beginning of time, niggas. From the beginning of times. So don't get scared now. If you're scared, go to church. Don't get scared now. All right. Peace, peace. Ramesu. Like Ice Cube told y'all already, if you're scared, go to church. And that's really what's going on. We have a bunch of scared niggers not willing to take their ancestry to the final level. You will want that final level test. It's funny how you went to school for 13 years. You went to school from kindergarten. Some of y'all went from nursery school, preschool. So shit, 15 years. Added into 12. And you went to school. And you was told to get good grades. Get you a good old A. If you come home with anything less than an A or a B, you getting that ass whooping. For whatever reason, that type of mentality stopped. Once you thought that you got out of school. Yeah. Once you got out of school, you said, fuck it, I don't got to worry about getting no more A's or B's. Hell, I can get an F and still function. Oh boy. Mixmaster Palu. Peace to the God. All right, so no need to run from a test. Because this test here is the most important test that you can actually ever take in your life. There's no other test in which that is more rewarding than a DNA test. Because it tells you exactly who you are, who you came from, your haplogroup, your not just your DNA connections, but your blood type. A lot of information which you never would have had if you did not take it. You just be guessing and speculating, waiting and debating for oh so long. That's what y'all doing right now. LL Cool J song. Y'all been waiting and debating for oh so long. That's what's going on. Waiting and debating for oh so long for what? To find out who you are? It took me 50 years to find out who I was. Why should it take that long? This is information that you need to have known off the rip. This is why Europeans are ahead of us, because they have books about their heritage, about their ancestry, and who they are. And they pass these books down at an early age to their children. And their children get a sense of pride and self-esteem and I am who I am, niggers. And they believe themselves to be superior to you because of their ancestry. But their ancestry ain't more diverse than yours. You have the greatest diversity of ancestry on the freaking planet. You should be. Ma'am, excuse me, ma'am. Step off. Cave heifer. You will not pollute my genes. You need to be saying that. Instead, I'm watching a video today with a Chinese talking about, yeah, we keep blacks in one place, not to be spread out, cause we don't want our genes, as Chinese, we don't want our genes polluted. Mm, they don't want their genes polluted. I am the gene producer. Anyone who is recessive is the gene polluter. I'm genetically dominant. And that's the truth, Ruth. Now, how about that one? We have the least pollution of genes of all races on the planet. Our genealogy is dominant. Everyone else's is recessive. So see, these are comments in which that we should not even allow for anyone to get away with, to say such things as that. This is when we should use our A and B scholarship schooling, our university and grad school and college degree work. This is when we should hit them with the philosophy of Francis Cross Wilson. ISIS papers, recessive ones. Oh shit. But enough of me tripping. I got a special guest for you tonight. Her divine name is Elatnu Alima El-Bey. Short version, that is. That's the short version. But she has proof of DNA connections here in the Americas, and also have gone to Africa many times over the years. And Africans reveal certain facts concerning the so-called African Americans here in the Americas. Please, Alatnu, take it away.
I'm not exactly sure where you want. Where should I? What should I start
Let's
with?
begin with the castle,
Castle Elmina.
Elmina,
Okay.
in Ghana, off the coast, off the shores, and how
Explain.
they have us believing here in the Americas that we came from the castle there, the millions of us, that is, and we waited for the ships to come so we can load up on them. and for they can bring us here on a 3 to 4 month voyage. What did they tell you?
Well, when I went to Castle Elmina in 2017, when you go to Ghana, that's one of the main tourist sites for so-called African Americans. But I went there. Well, first of all, before I let me take it back a little bit further. I'm a former history teacher, so could nobody tell me nothing about history, political science. I thought I had everything lined up perfectly and accordingly. Um, I didn't know the history that I was when I began to realize the history that I was teaching. I was very troubled with that because I began to recognize that it wasn't real, and all my hard work in school and everything meant absolutely nothing towards the truth at all. Um, I came out of teaching, probably teaching history, what, early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s, and started trying to figure out what the real truth was. You know, you know my whole story. But eventually, as I began to came to the conclusion of our history here in America, that we didn't come here on slave ships, I began searching for proof of this slave ship story and things like that. I was like, well, where are the ships? Where's this? Where's that? Where's the evidence? And also, I already knew our family's heritage, that I'm Chickasaw on my mother's side and Choctaw on my father's side, but I didn't understand the tie that we had to the Moors and our real ancient lineage. It's just something we've already known, especially having land in Oklahoma, land in Louisiana. These things are common knowledge for us, but we didn't tie ourselves to the Moors to for the full information. So, fast forward to 2017, I'm going over to Ghana to visit Castle Elmina, one of the famous tourist sites that so-called African Americans are going to go see. And I go over there with at this time, I found out through Dr. Alim that uh, about our Moorish heritage and how the Chickasaw and the Choctaw tie into the Washita Nation, the Moors, everything. So I go over there with that knowledge, knowing that we were already here first. And I wanted to see what the tour guides were going to say about this slave thing. And did they actually bring us to the Americas? How did all this happen? So I get over there, and they walk us around the castle. There was a Christian church upstairs where they were worshiping up, their God upstairs, and downstairs there was a dungeon where people were being murdered, raped, and all kinds of horrible things were taking place to those people that had been captured while they had church upstairs. And so the tour guide finally got to the door of no return, and the tour guide began explaining about how they would load these Africans up in the ships. And I got a little antsy, and I asked him, I was like, how many slaves were they able to get into the ships? Where did they go? And he was like, just be patient with me. I'm gonna explain it to you. And then he didn't give me the number that they loaded onto the ships. I asked, well, where are the ships? He had no idea where the ships are at this point, of course. But what he did tell me specifically at Castle Elmina, the tour guide said none of the slave ships went to the Americas. Not to the America, but to North America. And so I was like, oh, now I already knew this, but I was shocked that he knew this. So I was like, really now, do tell. It blew my mind. He said that the majority of them went to South America to work on the sugar plantations and the tobacco. And so I said, okay, so then how did all those people get into the Americas? How does that explain? So he said they were there. That blew my mind to actually hear the tour guide in Ghana say that, to tell that truth. And as he explained it, the so-called African Americans were extremely confused, and they began at what they was like. Well, then how does that feed slavery? What do you mean we were there? We were slaves. We were slaves. I was like, no. He said we were already there. He's trying to tell you you weren't slaves. But they were unable to, at the group that I was with, they were unable to accept that we weren't slaves. They kept wanting to pin the narrative to themselves, and the tour guide refused to assign slavery to us. He wouldn't do it. He said, from what I know, whatever slaves were captured, the majority that I know of were on the sugar plantation and the tobacco plantation in the South Americas. And he said, that's all I know. And he left it at that.
Ooh.
He wouldn't argue either. He stood his ground.
Calico, you said double tap the screen? What, what that does? Help me out. Double tap the screen. Okay, make it bigger like that. Okay. All right, there we go. I guess make it bigger. All right. Ooh. That was a revelation.
They
And
know. They already know. It's up to us to know at this point.
so that goes back to the fact that I've spoken with many Africans over the years, and they have all said that, in a sense, that we were not recent Africans taken from Africa as we was believing, because we believed that we were taken on slave ship just 400 years ago. And they always would say that America is your land. And I always wonder what they meant by that. America is our land. Because, I was pro-black. I was African.
That Pan-African thing,
Pan-African.
Red, black, and green.
Say what? You know what I'm saying? Of course, that was about 35 years ago. You know,
a good long time ago.
Yeah. Trying to figure out who I was at the time, because that's the only thing we had was that we was African. But I already knew at the age of 11 that we was already here. And how I knew that is because I was walking out of my bedroom one day at my grandmother's house, and an inner voice, an ancestor of mine, obviously heard my communication in my mind, gave me the answer. And I was thinking about lynching and maiming and castration and all these things concerning slavery, and the voice just came out of nowhere and just said, "What if you was already here?"
How old were you again?
I was 11.
11. Wow.
Yeah. So I knew that something was funky at 11. Something just didn't seem right. Because here I am thinking about, the slavery and the lynching and the maiming and the killing and the suffering of my people, and the ancestors just came out of nowhere saying, "Nigga, what if you was already here? What if you
So
was already here?"
since we were already here, that would mean that we were more along the lines of prisoners of war,
Exactly.
per se.
That's exactly what we were. We weren't slaves because the word slave come from Yugoslavic, the Yugoslavian people who was Slavic, hence slave. And they was the first slaves here in the Americas.
Were they slaves or so-called indentured servants?
No, they were
They were
slaves.
slaves. Okay.
Hmm.
Unable to buy their freedom, locked in for life.
They was locked in, you know. And then, of course, you had indentured servants, you know,
Right.
the Irish mostly, and those who was let out of the prisons from out of England.
They sent the most disgusting, base creatures, beasts that they had
Right.
in their land. They sent them
Hmm.
here to
Right.
us, and they
Hmm.
congregated in the
Right.
South.
Right. Right. Matter of fact, Georgia was a prison colony.
The most
Georgia.
vile acts were done by them.
Hmm. Right. And so when they talk about Earth is a prison planet, well, we know Georgia was.
For real. And then they unleashed that prison
Right.
for us to deal with.
Hmm. Right. Exactly. So um, these are things in which that historically we didn't know. Because we were so busy being pro-black. We skipped over the part that, as Bobby was saying, there was a woman in Louisiana who owned damn near the whole country, all the way up
Empress
into Canada.
Curiosity. Yes.
Right,
The
right,
Empress.
right. And when I found that out, I think that was like around, I was at the age of 14, and the spirit told me that part.
Hmm.
And I didn't even know why the spirit would tell me something like that. Number one, then of course, 40 years later, I found out the reason why. It's because she's my second cousin.
Mm.
So the ancestor was trying to tell me the whole time.
They speaking through your bloodline.
Right.
They hollering at you.
They
Wake
hollering.
up, get going.
They was hollering. Right, right, right.
But
And after
Alim,
she
I ain't even gonna hold you on that. I'm gonna be real honest and transparent with you and your audience. I'm a I'm gonna tell you my education, the backwards education that I had received in at the university and this, that, and the third had made me
Mhm.
very arrogant.
Oh yeah.
I'm the teacher. I thought I had the truth.
It was the
Nobody could
sh-
really tell me anything. It was my own children that shamed me into reality.
yeah.
They were the ones that woke up before I did in 1996. They got me going, you know, made me recognize your vote is doing nothing. Why are you still voting, mama? So when you talk about your experience waking up as a child, my own children, that's
Right.
in their pure minds, woke me up and made me realize that there was a different destiny for us. They're like, we're not,
Mhm.
and they were the ones that told me we're not going to get into that crap. They told me that. Even with the celebration of Christmas, I had to get to the point where I couldn't afford it anymore. And I was tired of building up credit card debt every year.
Right.
I told them we're not doing Christmas no more. They was like, finally, we tired of being broke after it's over. So when you talk about your childhood experience, that just reminds me of my own children kind of shaming me into waking
Right,
up
right, right.
when I thought I knew it all.
Yeah, boy. Being a teacher is a hell of a drug.
It is. And coming from the type of educated family and socialites and that I come from, my mother being a doctor of education,
Right.
all of my aunts were teachers, everybody's musically gifted, and so I'm right in line for that particular throne. And in the area where I live here in Kansas City, Missouri, my family was very, very well established, and luncheons with judges and lawyers and such, and state officials, and this, that, and the third. And I had to turn my back on all of that in order to get down to my real truth. Had to.
Mm, mm. Speaking of your own truths, let's get to what did you find out concerning your own truths, your family lineage, your bloodline, your heritage. You spoke about the fact that you found out, of course, that you knew you was Choctaw and you knew that you was Chickasaw. But what proof did you have besides for just as most Negro families do? They talk a good game, but they didn't know how to play the good game, you know.
Right.
But you found out how to play the good game, so tell the audience what did you do?
Um, I decided to follow your advice on doing a DNA test. But first of all, you had me to check for shovel teeth. That was the first genetic mutation that I discovered on my actual physical body, were those ridges right behind my teeth. And that blew my mind. And then you told me what's a 30,000-year-old genetic mutation in Asia, right?
Right,
So the shovel teeth, that blew my mind because I never knew what those ridges were. And then
right.
you had me to
And
check.
you had them, and you had them on all four of your teeth.
Oh, absolutely. All the way, damn near all the way around.
Right. Okay.
So those ridges in the root, that blew my mind first and foremost. A genetic mutation that occurred in Asia.
Right.
But here I am here. How does this happen? And then the next thing you had me to check for was the bump under my chin here. That's the barotherium, is it? If I am I saying it right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And
Right
then
there
I
you
felt
go.
right, and then I felt that bump under there, a knot like, and I was like, oh wow,
Mm-hmm.
okay. And then you had me to check for the bump in
Mouth.
the roof of my mouth with
Mm-hmm.
the epiphany, and I was like, oh my God. And that really blew my mind because that genetically links me into, I don't know if I should say that, but it's a genetic link to divinity. I'll put it that way.
Right.
And that one really blew my mind. But then you had me to do the DNA test at ancestry.com. Now I ain't gonna lie. When you first had me to do that, some of my arrogance kicked in again. I admit it. I don't want to be bothered with no ancestry.com. They're not gonna tell me the truth about myself. I don't need them. And you being you, very calm, was like, no, go ahead and do it. Just and then you said I'm gonna walk you through a few steps. So I did ancestry.com. I got my results. Of course, they said you are African. And I was like, see, they don't know what they're talking about. I already know there's more to me than that. But then you had me to
Right.
go to mytrueancestry.com.
Yeah.
Then that was the second one I went to. And when I uploaded my DNA onto that site, it laid out all kinds of royal clans where my lineage was found across the world. Um, royal clans in Japan and China, Cambodia, and the Huns, and all kinds of royalty began showing up, and I was like, "Oh wow, this is absolutely amazing." Now, I already knew about the Asiatics. You know, I knew we
Mhm.
had that lineage, but there was no possible way I could understand the depth of that until I saw it on my DNA match. But then you had me go to one more, which was
Anthro.
yes,
Anthro.
and
Hmm.
so that one. When I got to that one, it proudly announced me as an E1B1A haplogroup, which is a direct descendant of Ramesses III. I was like, it don't get no higher.
Right.
So following those steps, going and it took me back 60,000 years. It showed the path that my DNA has traveled around the world, what countries where it's populated at, all the way around the world into the Americas, down to the Peru. It showed me as mostly Native American, a mix of African here and there, but mainly so-called indigenous American, Native American. And
Right.
there was the smoking gun that I needed. If I were to go back into teaching and I brought that evidence there, they would probably kick me out
Mhm.
because that's off curriculum. If you're not teaching the slave trade, you're not going to be able to tell that truth. So if I went back into teaching, they would probably just throw me out at this point. I would have to tell them, here's who we are. This is it. So when I found that, I immediately called my sisters. I sent them this information. I sent it to my entire family. Everybody said, everybody just automatically did the same thing that I did, but they weren't willing to open up. They went totally arrogant coming from the family that I come from. They all
Right.
shut it down. They didn't want to hear our heritage. They want to stick to the narrative that we're slaves. And here I come trying to knock down that door and tell them, hey, here's who we really are. This is why we are Chickasaw. This is why we are Choctaw. This is what links us to our land. This is what makes us Moors. We're not slaves. We were prisoners of war, yes, but not slaves like that, and so rather than to argue with my family, I just laid the evidence with them and left it there and allow them to come to their own conclusion at that point. Because I'm not going to be running around here arguing with folks about the truth. It will speak for itself when they take the action to really look at it and examine it. But as
Right.
long as they're choosing to believe that we're just slaves and we came over on the good ship Jesus, which no one has ever seen, there's really nothing I can do for them.
Right. Right. All right. So you found out. I mean, when you get to Anthro, what did it say? I mean, did it give you a percentage of how much
It gave
native?
me 53% North America.
Ooh.
It says here 46% Africa,
Hmm.
and just a second. Oh, wait a minute. Here we go. It has a total breakdown here. It these numbers are a bit confusing for me, but it says West Eurasia, American Indian, South Asia, East Asia, and Africa. And so it's got all these different percentages. I would just have to have you to break that down for me, being honest again, because the numbers are a bit confusing for me. But the main part from it says that North America 53%, Africa 46.
So you are more indigenous to the Americas than you are African.
More indigenous to the Americas than I am to Africa, and my DNA is found all the way down around the world, all the way down to Peru.
But you look like a nigga to me.
More like a naga. And I've always wondered about
Right.
these eyes we have. And
Mhm.
anywhere when I lived in Israel, when I lived in Germany, when I was living time in London and this, that, and the third, all these places I've lived, I can spot our phenotype anywhere. When I see us, I know what we look like immediately. And it's just like, fam, I'm so glad to see you here in Egypt or here in Israel. And, all the places that I've lived around the world. If I see one of us, I know that phenotype immediately. The eyes, the lips, the way the men walk with with the broad, strong shoulders, the way they carry themselves. The women are elegant, and the way our bodies are built. I know us anywhere in the world. We have our own phenotype.
Okay. 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 So y'all heard it first here, y'all. 53%. I just
Yeah.
says 55.
Okay, you can say that.
Right? Just 55, stay alive. But 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 you can see her picture right here. All right. On any given day, she would be considered an Afro American, African American, or Negro, or colored, or black. But yet she's 53% indigenous to the Americas. 53
Exactly.
indigenous to the Americas. Her genome is more than half indigenous. Okay. So we this is the reason for the importance of DNA testing. Because they give you even the percentage. But here you have someone, what was his name? Can't remember his name right now, but Gary is the head of the Choctaw, but he looked like a Irish person. He has less than 3%. Less than 3% indigenous heritage.
And I always want to challenge them, the Siberians. I want to do a DNA test with me. Come on, match yours with mine. Let's do this. Let's do it.
Right,
And
right,
they get quiet.
right,
They won't do a DNA test.
right. Of course. Because Siberian is Chinese.
Precisely.
And I've seen where both of their parents are Chinese, but yet they was listed as Indian. And this is something on which that was told to me and proven. My second year in college, as sociology was my major, history was my major, and my sociology teacher, Dr. John Stokes, played a tape for us in which that psychologist was determining the status of making Chinese people after the so-called 49er, 1849er rush, gold rush,
Mm-hmm.
to make them Indians.
Mm.
So they made the Chinese people Indians.
And don't forget to throw in that $5 mix.
Oh well, the $5 mix, yeah, that was the Irish and and the rest of them wanting to get the benefits, and get land issuance, get land um to get monies from the government, federal government, and plus school, medical all of that.
housing.
Right, housing. Right,
Yeah, they're getting that now.
right,
But
right,
the thing
right.
that's most amazing about all these so-called benefits and these $5 and Indians and these Siberian folks, it's like how the dude that does however, comma,
Hmm.
that little happy guy there.
Right, right.
They have not evolved to show any creativity as an original people of this land. You know, they show nothing. They are uh they're sitting there drunk the majority of the time. I guess that's that Irish heritage, you know.
Right, right,
And
right.
they haven't developed anything. Even when the Choctaw and the Chickasaw, after they walked the Trail of Tears to Oklahoma, at least they went and tried to evolve and build. They went and did Black Wall Street.
That's right.
You know, they got
That's right.
killed in the process, but they tried. You know,
And as a matter of fact, what history don't tell us is that they even rebuilt Black Wall Street.
they
Yeah,
rebuilt it.
yeah, they rebuilt it.
Hmm. Okay, you got me on that one.
Hmm. And and then they started regentrification process and all of that as they normally do, and they was able to move them out once again. But this time, keep what they built before they can use it for themselves.
Right, right.
Yeah. So
And so as I've begun my journey to claiming, you know, my status change and uh holding on, helping, trying to assist my family and holding on to our land in Oklahoma, 21 acres there and 88 acres in Louisiana. I'm like, y'all, we already have the land. You know, we've got the land. Now we're going to physically tie ourselves to it for good and forever. This is land that cannot be sold. You know, we
exactly.
and I'm so grateful that the land can't be sold unless every single family member after a certain age, we have all of us have to sign. Guess who's not signing?
That's right.
Okay, my family doesn't understand this birthright that we have. We cannot sell that for pennies. You know,
Right. Right.
that is our birthright. This is our home. Even our land in Oklahoma even has a cemetery of our ancestors going back to 1792 that are buried there. You can't
Wow.
sell that.
No.
No. So I'm doing my family a favor by refusing to sign off on the sale. And I'm
Excellent.
yes, and they can't stop me from building my house on it. So that's my next move. That's gonna be it.
Perfect. 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 Well, we didn't want to keep you long, but we wanted to be strong, y'all. You know. If y'all got any questions, hit us up. Let's see what you got. Someone wrote, the timing doesn't matter. You woke up. Let me see that again. It was a good one. Oh, okay, okay. They was already asking questions. Let me get down here. All right. The phenotype is often a dead giveaway. So, someone Velas Simuni agree with you. The phenotypes is often a dead giveaway.
Every time, every to anywhere in the world, we are so beautiful, so unique. in the way that we look. And even when I'm in Ghana, um, where everybody is the color black or what have you, and there are some lighter skinned ones there too, but they know I look different from them. They know it,
Right.
and they take no issue with it at all. They could care less.
Right.
But you know what, Elaine? When I was living in Israel, I just wanted to throw this in right quick. I
Mm-hmm.
was working at the Jewish agency, working with some Ethiopians who had just come into Israel.
Right.
And I will never forget the elder that, through a translator, set me and my youngest son down. And she said to me, when are you African Americans gonna come and, oh, when are you African Americans gonna wake up? And she said it through
Mm.
a translator. And I was like, at the time, I was completely ignorant and unaware, you know, because at that time I was on my Hebrew Israelite journey.
Right. Right.
And so I said, ma'am, through the translator, if you waiting on us to wake up and come and do something with this world, you're gonna be in trouble. But see, and I told him we can't
Ooh.
wake up and walk across the street together, okay? At that time, and
Right.
that
Right.
was
Right.
back in 2007.
Mm-hmm.
But fast forward to now, I see us more than walking across the street together. I
Right.
envision our rise. I see us coming up. I see
No.
the royalty coming forth now as the present regime is falling. We have
Right.
no
Because
other
now,
choice but to rise.
right. Because now you can prove it.
Got the physical
Right.
evidence. It's here.
So you spoke about the shovel teeth,
Yes.
and that was East Asian, and then you made mention of the Japanese royalty that you're related to
Yes.
genetically, Chinese royalty related to genetically, Genghis Khan, a Hun
Yes.
related to.
Yes.
So let's go over that part.
Okay.
What information you got to share on that?
Just a
Because
second.
when you go to my true ancestry breaks it down and actually give you the names
They
of the
sure do. I'm
individuals.
going there now on my laptop here. I'm gonna get those names for you
All right.
because they do not play. They go ahead and just give it to you. They like, here it is. Let me see you here.
Yes. While you getting that, someone asked the question, hey Doc, why they change African studies to African American studies? I believe that's what you was asking, um, Eugenius MC. The reason why is because African American studies have a tendency of being able to incorporate the situations that took place on the African continent, as well as from the slave period, Jim Crow experience, the prejudices, the biases, those things that took place here in the Americas as well. That's the reason why they changed it from African studies to African American studies. Okay. But they wasn't going to take you further back as what we're doing. They're going to notice school never takes you back to DNA
Never.
unless you are in a class dealing with DNA, such as in biology class, and then you don't even get a whole chapter on that. You'll get information concerning DNA from the perspective of the stem cell. Or I can take a strand of your hair, or a a spat of spittle, of spit, or a flake of your skin, and clone a whole nother you into existence. But as far as like actually going into DNA and the science behind DNA tests, they don't do that. No. Okay.
I'm having a little bit of trouble finding it. Uh,
Okay.
for whatever reason, the Japanese list isn't coming up for me. Although I had it right before you started the
Yeah.
show and read it off to you.
Right. Right. Well, Brother D. Calico, he said, always knew we were on all four corners of the planet of the Earth. Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely.
I wish I had known years ago. Um, I wish I had known when I was in the schools teaching. I would gladly have passed this incredible information on to the students and their parents as well, and explained to them the importance of tying yourself to your land. You know,
Right. Right. Right.
even if it got me kicked out, at least I would have been able to plant a few seeds.
Right. Oh, yeah. Eugenius MC said some of those Irish were melanated. True indeed. I
Oh,
mean,
absolutely.
that's how we get the last names or surnames. Macmillan. Um, you know, oh, Mac Clemens. Mac. The name Mac is more. So forth and so on. So yeah, definitely, and that goes back to J. Rogers' first volume, Sex and Race. And let me see. Someone said Jeffrey Bay 6207 said they sent them around the world. Australia was a prison colony too. That's right. And you see what happened when the inmates um had a little bit of freedom, boy. They took over completely and subjugated, the Aboriginal people, you know, completely.
That was their way, them sending their criminals around the world. That was their
Right.
way of trying to keep up with what we did, as we were already around the world. So they sent their criminals around the world.
Exactly. Exactly. All right. Eugenics MC said, that's why I asked about the change of African studies to Africana studies. Africana studies. Okay. Like I said, I think Africana studies dealt with more so of the diaspora um, Africans, more dealing with so we can talk about, like we just said, the Aboriginals in Australia, the so-called blacks in the Pacific, the blacks here in the Americas, you know, as well as the blacks, of course, in Africa and in Asia and throughout Europe. So I think they changed it to incorporate more of the blacks in the diaspora. All right. Let me see what else here. Began. Jew is original. It says some of our mothers will never be as open as you are to the wisdom and knowledge, especially coming from your own children. Oh, that was someone. Jew is original. Say you got that one. Timing doesn't matter unless you wake up to some real shit. All right.
Well, for me, I was probably a very, very unique. I think I have a unique view concerning children.
Right.
Um, I always believed, before I understood the spirituality behind uh, the birth of a child, where they come from, and things like that. I always knew that they would have a fresher approach to this world than I did.
Right. Right.
And my children were very, very unique and talented. I considered in I even when my daughter was very small, because of the way she sang, you would think, and literally an angel was singing in your ear. Literally. I'll leave that at that. But and the way that they were talented, I always would stop and hear what they had to say about things. My youngest son would add up a cart full of groceries with tax before I got to the register. They went to these classes with me, and oftentimes their questions was challenging the teachers, and I allowed them to do that. I gave my children the freedom to learn with me because I was a young mother at 18, and so my children went to college when I went. And as they were learning, they began asking questions about being so-called black. How does being a color work? My oldest son, who loves to have discussions with Eileen, he began challenging the different teachers in political science and in my history courses. And so I always would hear what they had to say. Even children now, I listen to them because I strongly believe I can learn from them as they're learning from me. I don't believe just because I'm older that my piece of this puzzle is the end all to end all. I'm very open-minded to what the youth have to say because they have a piece of the puzzle too. And so very open to learning, and from anybody. Now you got to be coming to me making sense. If you don't come talking crazy, because I will have no problem dismissing myself. I'm not going to argue with your insanity, but don't come to me talking about we slaves and all this type of crap. I'll let you have your point of view, of course, but I'm very open to learning from anyone. I will hear what people have to say, and if I can vibe with it, then I'll do the research behind it, and I'm always willing to learn. Always.
Indeed, indeed,
I don't care
indeed.
where the information comes from.
All right, all right, all right. So I know you wasn't able to find everything. You want to go over what you have found?
The only what I'm on mytrueancestry.com. This thing here, look,
I know you. I thought you might have had it in your phone. Did you take a picture of it?
that is from what is it called? The Andro. How do you say that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Andrew.
So
Andrew.
from
Hmm.
them, let me get over here. From them, I just have the pictures that show where my DNA traveled around the world, what countries it's located in, all the way down to Monaco, uh, which is off the coast of France, a small island, all the way to Australia, all the way into wherever humanity has gone, my DNA is there,
Okay.
all the way down to Peru, Chile. These pictures I have, they show my journey. But the thing that really blew my mind the most is that I'm Native American, first and
Right.
foremost, and then African,
Hmm.
through mixing over time, of course.
Right. 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 Right.
And then what really got me now, me focusing a lot of times when I would first get the DNA testing, because I had been taught that the mitochondrial DNA is the most powerful lineage that I would have. That's what I had been
Right.
taught. But in order to go back 60,000 years, it pulled from my father's Y DNA, not my mother's mitochondrial DNA.
Right.
So that blew my mind. And it was now my mother's mitochondrial DNA. Yes, it travels around the world as well. It's just as powerful, but it was through my father's Y DNA that led to directly to Ramesses the third. So while people talk about the power of the mitochondrial DNA, and truly it is, don't get it twisted, but you can't sleep on that Y DNA either, because it is that Y DNA that's going to link you to Ramesses. And
Hmm.
which 60%, 70, maybe even more, so-called African Americans have that E1B1A haplogroup within them. They
Right.
may not know it as of yet, but I believe in time it's all going to come around. But it led me to this. Y DNA also led me to several royal houses in Germany, royal houses in France, royal houses in England, clans all over Ireland. Um, the it's all royalty for us. Our DNA is high royalty, high spiritual royalty across the world. So that's why I say to the Siberian, come challenge me. Let's see if you can go back 60,000 years with me, which my tests have proven who I am. Let's look at yours.
Right.
Show me what yours will say.
Right.
You know. Now,
Right.
theirs is going to lead to Asia, and that's pretty much where it's going to stop. It cannot go as far back as ours does. I
No.
believe our DNA is going to lead us all the way back to Pangea
Yeah.
and beyond if they can get back that far. That's what I believe.
Right. Right. Right.
If science can get back that far, I don't think they have that technology yet, but it would have to go back to the foundation of human existence.
Exactly.
We're it.
All right. Question was asked. Universal knowledge public at 4,000 asked the question: did they pay John Henry Clark and Dr. Ben to make up the slave narrative with the slave ship? Well, the answer is this: is that um yes, they was paid.
Mm.
I can't say that it was made up because most of the ships, when they did leave Africa, did wind up in South America, just not here in North America, though. They didn't come here to North America like that. Less than 3,000 people, according to Emory University, came. 300,000 people came here to Americas over a 300 period of time, 300 years time span came here to the Americas.
And
Um,
also when you're talking about John Henry Clark, you have to understand he was working with the information that he had at that time.
mhm.
You know, that was the information that he had access to. What we have now is completely a whole different narrative, basically.
Right. And plus, John Henry Clark, Dr. John Henry Clark, said something fantastic. If you go back and read Christopher Columbus and the African Holocaust, slavery, and the rise of European capitalism, in there he said it must also be added that Amerigo Vespucci, on his voyage to the Americas, witnessed the Mandingo of Mali and Songhai Empire, later identified as the Moroccan Empire, out of out in the Atlantic, returning to Africa. So one of our greatest Moorish minds and historians, John Henry Clark, stated that the Mandingos of Mali, who are related to the Olmecs and the Songhai Empire, was later identified as the Moroccan Empire. Also notes that they was returning to Africa. Thus, we can conclude from America. All right, because they was set up because they was part of a network of trade, and this is spoken of by another good brother in his book Susu Economics: The History of the Pan African Trade, Commerce, Money, and Wealth, Part One, written by Paul Alfred Barton. And he says the mound builders, they were dark skinned, woolly haired blacks who were indigenous native to North America, kin to the Olmecs of South America. The Olmecs and Washita, Black Californians, Yamasee, Califanami, and other pre Columbian blacks of the Americas was part of a prehistoric trade network that began in Africa and spread it worldwide over 100,000 years ago and at various periods afterwards. So you know, I think that's what they should have been writing more about, and it would give a better conclusion, a more extensive conclusion, and better analysis for us to have ran with instead of now with so much confusion concerning heritage, because now we have a lot of people who still saying that they Pan Africanists, and like it's a battle between the Pan Africanists and those who saying that they are American or that they have ancestry, here in the Americas and that they've been here for a period of time.
But that I think between our people, that it's just it may be a so-called battle, but I think it's just a changing of the guard as
Right,
the Pan African thing fades away. There are people who sometimes have trouble letting it fade, but it's just
right,
the changing of the guard as we advance ourselves. We're evolving and moving forward with our knowledge and our information. And in due course, all of that Pan African and that FBA mess and all of that is going to fade into the dust as people begin to take hold of this evolutionary process, evolution of knowledge that's
right,
taking
right.
place with us. They'll have no other choice. But I wanted to add in right quick here that it finally came up, and it's giving me the Imperial House of Japan, Nagatomi clan, Fujiwara clan. It has Tonzi, House of Warine. It's a long list that goes around the world. Spanish House of Bourbon, the Spanish Habsburg, House of Jimenez. I'm in Spain now. It's a long list of royalty here that it finally came up with. I guess it was so long that wow, it took a while for it to come up. English royalty is one of the longest, but it ties me into Persian royalty, Chinese, the what is that? The Qing Ming dynasties.
Mm-hmm. The Qingming. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Saudi royalty. Uh, Tying me in with oh, you ready for this one? Vladimir Putin. Oh my God. Okay, that blew my mind. No wonder he was talking about Black Jesus.
Exactly. And the disciples.
Yeah, he ready to tell some truth.
Yeah, he ready to let it loose.
Exactly.
He must have found out he was related to you.
Okay, that one this is a very long list
Right.
of people that I'm related to. Wow. And so again, it just takes me all the way around the world, and I am so proud to carry that within the E1B1A umbrella.
Yeah, Henderson SSN said, "Do you remember Putin saying that the people in America have had their royalty hidden from them?"
I remember hearing about that. I didn't actually hear him say it. You heard him say it for real?
Henderson did.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
Cool. But it's not hidden anymore though. We in the age of information. It's like wake up, y'all. Come on, come get it. We got to start making moves, you know? Still got to.
Yo. Question. So that up from slavery with Booker T. Washington and Frederick Douglass are falsehoods. What did all that come from? No, slavery happened in the sense of that we was POWs and we was made servants on our own land.
Slavery did actually happen. Yes, it did
Yeah,
happen,
yeah,
but we weren't brought here on a ship.
right,
That's them trying to confuse us
right.
about they need to label us as Africans so that they can continue
The land
abusing
theft.
our land. Yeah.
Right, right, right. So that's what's going on with that. Universal knowledge.
just
Okay.
prisoners of war, and it. But the thing is, the war is over, and we can break out of it. But what's that syndrome called, Eileen? Stockholm syndrome.
Stockholm syndrome.
Now we have to recuperate from that so that we can reclaim our heritage.
Right. Exactly. And
Sitting at work, even a lot of people at work have a lot of questions. You know, but with some of them, when they come to talk to me, I immediately recognize their European influence, and I've learned to answer their questions to the best of my ability. When I
right.
don't have the answer, of course, I go to Alim immediately. I don't waste time with it so that they can get the knowledge and the answers that they need. But a lot of times they come to me wanting me to behave in the European way in which that they're used to seeing a woman. But I'm like, baby, I'm a Moor. That's I'm a proud Moorish woman here. I don't conduct myself in the way that you think a woman should behave, because you're approaching me looking for, a woman with the European mindset. That's not me. You're going to find, with me, you're going to find a dignified, intelligent, well spoken Moorish woman. That's what you're going to find. But as they, some of them over the past couple of years that work with, and talk, getting their questions answered, are becoming evolving into the Moorish mindset, I should say.
Mm,
It's a
right.
process, though. It's a process.
Okay. Universal knowledge goes on to say they were the boule that Steve Coakley was talking about. He just never mentioned them by name, of course. There was plenty of boule members in which that Steve was talking about because I was a student of his, and there was things in which that he told me in which that I might have said maybe once or twice, but never really got in depth with it, because um, this nationality and knowing who you are as far as your DNA is more important than um, just learning about the boule. So yeah, but the boule has left its mark um, in that way, dealing with individuals in which that you know they the buffer, as we would say, for the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers and the grassroots. So they don't want to utilize real methods as far as deterring and dismantling this capitalistic society. And so, I mean, so they'll continue doing what they're doing. I've seen someone shares a government website showing the boats leaving American posts on ports, taking us out of America to other places. The story was in reverse. Yes, that's
Yes,
also.
very true.
Mm-hmm.
And once again, um, even those that were taken over there, going into Liberia and other parts, you can see the phenotype. It just stands out. It
Right.
just stands out. They look different than the regular West African brothers. A lot of the, you got some tall West African brothers, but when you actually see one of us over there, there's I don't know, there's just such a dignified way that we carry ourselves, and we're so beautiful. And not that the African people aren't, it's just that our phenotype is unique,
Right.
and
Right.
you can see them. The one you can, when you actually go to Ghana or other places on the West Coast, you can see the difference between, you'll say, oh, okay, I can see that you were one of the ones that were brought back over here to Africa. I can see that.
Mm-hmm. Right. All right. Well, y'all, Glad that y'all came on with us. Allow for us to share a little bit of our truth with you. Um, any closing comments or statements that you want to make? A lot new before we bounce.
I was just glad to share the information tonight with you all. Hope to be one day where you can see me physically one of these days. And I'm just glad to share the information with you all and have good conversations. I would love to interact on a more open level where we can all talk about this whole thing together, you know?
All right. Y'all heard it. All right. We're gonna say peace to um Miss 53%.
Say 55 is good.
55, stay alive. The God is a lot new. And I'm gonna say my piece. Say I take watch to Ish, y'all, and we out. Peace.
Peace.